Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of We Talk Freely. We've been gone for about a week now, and I do apologize for the no announcement. But we had a lot of work come up. Been very, very busy, but I want to make sure that I'm still getting episodes out. And man, have we had a crazy week this week. Today is the 7th of October, 2023, and geez, what a way to start off the month. We've got a lot going on with Trump court cases. We've got Hillary saying that we need to be reprogrammed if we're Trump supporters. Allegations of the FBI targeting Trump supporters as well. And then, as of last night, we have this insane war breaking out over in Israel. So we're going to go over all of that stuff. But first, I actually wanted to go show y'all a new video that recently dropped. I'm not going to show the whole thing. I think it is kind of copyrighted, so I don't want YouTube getting all mad at me and stuff. But Trump's nephew threw up a 43-second clip here. Figure I'd give y'all a little listen to it. So check this out. You can take all our money, but you can't have our soul. You could burn down our buildings, and we'll still find a home. We will all stick together, and we'll never surrender. We won't give up our freedom. From the shores of California, all the way down to the Keys. Only He will bring us closer when we fall to our knees. And He'll lift us from the ground. So it sounds like a pretty good song. There's a lot of auto-tune in it, so I'll give you a heads up on that. I guess not everyone in there's the best singer, or for whatever reason, they're using a good bit of auto-tune. But it's a cool song, and I love the message that's in it. It's a very uplifting song. I went and checked it out there on YouTube earlier. They have, if you go to the link, and I'll post all this in the show notes down below, the show description below. If you go check it out, there's all kinds of links. It's up on iTunes as well and many other places. So whatever your favorite music source is, most likely they've got you covered. I think it's really cool. But what a great way to start off the episode with something more positive, because this episode, I ain't gonna lie, y'all, it's gonna be kind of dark. Some of this stuff is pretty bad, but let's go with the easy stuff first. Jumping into it, we've got from the Post Millennial: overzealous cancellation of Trump Organization's business licenses halted by New York Appellate Court. I'm glad that this happened. We've seen a lot of crazy stuff in the news this week. If a lot of you have been following, you probably know more than me. Like I said, I've been busy as hell, but I've been going through these, day by day. I've been checking out a lot of the links and the information that's come across my feeds. And wow, this case is just getting kind of crazy and out of control. So let's go on and read what they have to say here. On Friday, a judge with the New York Appeals Court placed a halt on an order in the New York civil fraud trial of Donald Trump that would have seen the cancellation of his business certificates. First Department Justice Peter Mountain rejected a motion on Friday from Trump's lawyers to put the trial on hold, but temporarily placed a pause on the cancellation of the certificates while the appeals process plays out, according to the New York Post. In a statement for the Trump Organization, Eric Trump wrote on X, "We thank the appellate division for staying the New York Attorney General's and Judge Engoron's overzealous attempt to cancel the New York business certificates." I think it's Engoron. Correct me down below. If you can do one of those like sound out spellings, that'd be fantastic. Quote, Judge Engoron's order erroneously sought to adjudicate the rights of non-party business entities that employ nearly 1,000 hardworking New Yorkers, have never been accused of any wrongdoing, and were never given their day in court, in clear violation of their fundamental constitutional rights and due process. We will continue to vigorously defend our company and our incredible employees from this politically motivated persecution. In this case has been it's crazy with everything that's going on against Donald Trump and everything. That with New York trying to come for his properties and everything, it's getting out of hand. So one of the big things that since the last episode I shot with you guys, a big thing that came out in these court cases was the appraisement of his property. And I want to just review over this because if you're any of my friends that are on the left that are watching this, or if you're undecided or anything of the sort, you may not be getting the information that's really out there or all the perspectives that's out there. And, my goal here is not to sway you one way or the other. My goal is to get you all the pertinent information and let you make your choices on it. I know where I stand, and yes, I do lean right, and I have no issues telling people about it. I have no reason to hide what my beliefs are. Uh, but I want people, when they go to the ballot box, no matter what political party that they're involved in, I want people making educated decisions and not just voting down ballot, not just voting whatever for whatever reason, like what we heard, the vote blue no matter who. You know, I heard things like that on the conservative Republican side too, and I don't like that at all. Again, I'm a walk away Democrat. I walked away from the Democratic Party about a decade ago because of the chaos that I was seeing and how much impact it was having on my life voting for policies that I kind of knew wouldn't work. But going on to this, I want to talk about, the property valuation issue that has come up in the courts. So they're trying to say that Trump's property is worth $24.2 million. Like, and if you see on this photo here, that's exactly uh, what they've got listed here. But I want you to see the rest of these properties around. I don't know if you can see it per se. If you're on a cell phone, it'll be very difficult. If you're on a computer, it'll be a lot easier to see, or using your TV, even easier. But if you want to take a moment to pause here and just kind of zoom in on these property values, and we'll go through it a little bit. Now, I want you to consider over here the size of these tennis courts. And this is one of the best arguments that I've heard this week. This is probably the easiest way to describe how undervalued this property here is. So you see these tennis courts, you see how large these things are, right? Now, I want you to go up here and look at this row of properties, which is surrounded and not even touching the beach here on the side. And it's not touching this, I guess it's a lake river right here, this other waterfront on this side. And so we look right in this area, and you'll see between 9 million here at the bottom, and you'll see upwards of 19 million here in the middle, right? Even this property here is even larger at 23 million, but I want to focus on the smaller ones because these smaller ones, you take that rectangle and then you compare it to the size of the tennis court. So this one that's circled in red, which is $19.8 million value, right? It is the size of roughly one and a half to two of these tennis courts alone here at the bottom. So now, if you took that as your reference tool and you stamp that across this entire property, you could get dozens of these properties to fit inside of the Mar-a-Lago property here. And so dozens times 19 million does not add up to 24 million. That's wild. You look at this other large property right here that's circled in red on the left side center screen. It's at 55.7 million valuation. You can still get almost a dozen of that property in there. Maybe about 8 to 10 more realistically. So we'll say about 10 of them at the most, 8 at the least. That's definitely more than 24.2 million. So the reason I bring all this up is because they're trying to say that Trump overvalued his properties when dealing with the banks. And now you have a judge that's trying to reduce the value so heavily that this giant property that reaches from shoreline to shoreline, and yes, over here on the right, that pool right there on the beach, that's part of Mar-a-Lago too. He's trying to say the entirety of this entire thing is worth only 24 million, while every neighbor to the north, for the most part, is worth more than him, or worth more than his property. That doesn't add up. Now, there's also a bunch of reports out there. If you go online, you can see there's Trump gives a tour. I can't remember what news network it is. Don't shoot me. But Trump gives tours of Mar-a-Lago, and one of the tours is to a news agency, and they show all the exquisite artwork built into the walls, the custom tile work, and everything else that's going on with the place. It's insanely beautiful. It's insanely lavish and luxurious. Just the fixtures alone are going to be more than this entire evaluation that the judge is trying to give to the property. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to put the tax valuation as the value of the property, not the actual assessed value. Those are completely different things. If you have any friends that are real estate agents, I highly suggest you go talk to them. Don't talk to them about the case, but ask them what's the difference between tax value and actual real estate assessed value. And you'll see, and they'll tell you about the completely different dynamics between the two. I mean, if we, well, I won't go too deep into a lot of that, but yeah, check that out. Look into it a little bit more, and you'll see exactly how much Donald Trump is being duped on this. Whether you like Trump or not, what this ends up doing is it sets precedents, right? And when precedence is set, and judges and legal teams and stuff like that are allowed to bend rules and change valuations just to fit their cases better, what ends up happening is sometime in the future, this stuff will get levied against you. So, this is why it's so important, politics aside, to defend certain things like this. If the government will use it against a billionaire, or even if you don't believe he's a billionaire, if they're willing to use it against a multimillionaire, they'll easily use it against you. And I know most of the people watching this probably don't have the funds to defeat something like that in court. You'll just have to roll over, deal with the damages, and lose everything. That's not what this country is about. That's not what I'm willing to deal with either. So keep your eye out on this. Keep your mind open. Leave the politics at the door and realize this is corruption at its finest. All right, so we're going to be moving on here, but like I said, keep that in mind. Um, the these court issues, we need fairness. Again, personal biases aside, we need fairness. If Hillary Clinton was getting hit with the same thing by a conservative judge or something of that nature, I would still personally myself be standing against such a vicious attack. Because again, like I said, I know it can be used anywhere once that precedence is set. It doesn't matter who is being hit with these messed up charges or messed up accusations or messed up valuations. Our legal system has to be neutral. Lady Justice has to be blind. If it's not, then what you end up is with the scales tipping power one direction or the other, and once it tips too far, there's no getting it back. So I'm glad to see, more good news here for Trump. Uh, from the conservative brief, Supreme Court declines to hear case seeking to keep Trump off 2024 ballot. Um, and a lot of this, we've talked about in previous episodes about the 14th Amendment violations that people are trying to put on them. Again, innocent until proven guilty. You can't sit there and hit them with the 14th when the court trials have not even gone through yet, when there's been no convictions or anything of the sort. You can't jump the gun in that way. And I think that's a lot of where this is coming from. But let's read into it. The U.S. Supreme Court handed former President Donald Trump a major 2024 election victory on Monday regarding a constitutional challenge to having his name appear on the ballot next year. According to CNN, the nation's highest court refused to hear a challenge from long-shot GOP presidential contender who sought to prevent Trump's name from appearing on a ballot or on the ballot under a provision of the 14th Amendment. The case was brought by John Anthony Castro, a little known candidate for the Republican presidential nomination who sued Trump earlier this year in an effort to disqualify him from running for president and holding the office, given his alleged provision of aid or comfort to the convicted criminals and insurrectionists that violently attacked our United States Capitol on January 6, 2021, CNN reported. Ugh. The outlet said the case was rejected without any comment or recorded vote. Quote, the framers of Section 3 of the 14th Amendment specifically designed it to remove overwhelming popular pro-insurrectionists from the ballot. As such, Castro is not simply within the zone of interest. Castro is the precise type of person that the framers of Section 3 of the 14th Amendment specifically sought to politically protect, while Trump is the precise type of person they sought to disqualify, Castro argued before justices in court papers. Previously, a lower federal court ruled that he lacked standing to bring the matter to court. His petition to the Supreme Court sought a ruling on whether he did indeed have the legal right to pursue the case. And if you want to read the rest of it, again, all of these things are going to be linked in the description below. Again, Donald Trump is not an insurrectionist. He's not the one that orchestrated any of this stuff. If you're like me and you're watching the videos and everything from January 6th, you watch what happened at the Capitol, you watched his speech and whatnot. I'm a politics nerd. I literally had it up on all five of my computer screens here from different sources. So just in case somebody blipped out, I would still have my coverage. And I heard him say peacefully march down. He never gave any kind of marching orders to go into the Capitol or to be violent or anything of the sort. He's not an insurrectionist. The 14th Amendment in this case does not apply. I know that there's lots of courts that are sitting here trying their damnedest to get it done, to frame him as if he is an insurrectionist. But let's be real. People on the left, people on the right, everyone in between, let's be real. When you have a good case, it doesn't take this long to convict somebody. You don't have to stretch so far within our legal system. You don't have to sit here and split so many hairs to try to come up with one little thing. You got Fannie Willis here in Georgia that's trying to get him on, was it 91 different counts, or is that the total amount of, I'm losing track at this point because everyone is so desperate to take Trump off the ballot. They But yet there's no concrete case from any direction you look at here. Uh, he didn't do anything wrong. I mean, you may not like the guy, but honestly, he didn't do anything legally wrong. You know, it's the same thing with people like myself that are not a big fan of Biden. Uh, but I still don't condone a bunch of egregious court cases against Biden just to get him off the ballot. We need concrete evidence of a concrete defined crime before we take action upon these things. At the end of the day, all of this crazy legal stuff that you see going on is plainly because Joe Biden and Democrats in general know that they cannot go head to head with Donald Trump in this election. Donald Trump had great years during his presidency. He brought peace all around the world. Now, it was kind of funny peace because everyone was terrified of the madman in the office. But regardless, he brought peace. He made incredible trade deals around the world, and he boosted our economy. Now, with all that being said, yeah, there were some things that we didn't like. I personally didn't like that he added to our national debt. I don't like the fact, or I don't like the way he handled the COVID-19 situation. And there's a few other things that, if I sit down with you, I'm sure we can go back and forth and I can sit there and pick apart Donald Trump. But in all, things were a lot better under Trump. And a lot of people all over this nation feel the same way. Not just red hat, redneck, MAGA supporters, but I'm seeing people from all groups, all demographics, all walks of life that are all saying that, hey, my life was way better under Trump. My life was better when gas was less than $2 a gallon. My life was better when I could get actual meaningful full time work and get paid money that actually covered the bills. You know, under Joe Biden and the Biden administration, we've got Bidenomics. And we've seen, was it house mortgage rates go from 3.5 all the way up to 8 point something? I think I saw on TV the other day. Uh, Grocery prices have skyrocketed. Car prices have gone through the roof. Everything has just gotten so expensive that, especially for a family man like me, it has become almost impossible to afford anything. Hence why you guys missed me for the past week. I've had to work overtime just to get less than what I had under Trump, working half the time that I work now. Like, make that make sense. That's gross. And I'm making more money now than I made when I was under Trump. But that's because I'm having to work multiple jobs. I'm having to bring in multiple incomes just to barely afford to eat. This isn't right. And we're going to get into that a little bit deeper here in a few. So, let's see here. There we go. Now it works. All right. So moving forward, I want to talk about old Hillary. She came out and was talking about, you know who, the basket of deplorables, I guess you could say. Hillary has got a bad habit of coming out and saying all these gross things about people that she doesn't even know. Now, if I recall correctly, everyone was mad about Donald Trump calling Rosie O'Donnell overweight or something of that nature, calling her fat, I think it was. Whatever it is. Everyone was mad that he called her a name. So I'm looking at my Democrat friends right now and the hypocrisy in all of this, and people are willing to let Hillary and many other Democrats come out and not only talk trash about one person, but talk trash about almost another half of the country, right? Roughly what 40ish% of the country. You guys have no problem with her and others talking about people like that. Now, one thing that you always got to remember, because you like to call us racist, you like to call us like all these bad people and stuff like that, but the Republican Party, the Conservative Party, the MAGA Party, the Independent Party, and all these people that are willing to vote for Trump again, we make up a lot of different demographics from white, black, all different races. We've got gays, we've got you name it. We've got people from all across the board. We have our own kind of a rainbow over here of people. So when you're coming out against an entire political party, all those things that you want to accuse our political party of, you are literally guilty of yourselves. Like, you're going against, all kinds of religious factions, like I said, race and all that other stuff too. What makes you any better than the supposed people you assume are on our side of the aisle? Now, I'll say this, there's bad people everywhere, but conservative Republican Party is all about freedom. It's about giving you the choice to live your life to the best of your ability. And people like Hillary are heavily threatened by that. So, here from the Federalist, Hillary Clinton wants Trump voters to undergo a formal deprogramming. Holy crap. Let's digest that for a second. When have we seen this kind of rhetoric before? Hmm. Does Adolf Hitler ring a bell? Like, this is something very similar to what we saw. Now, we've already seen some stages of this same behavior. I'm not calling her Hitler, but Hitler performed a lot of this within was it the National German Socialist movement or whatever it was. Um, there's steps that were taken before everything went down, right? When we look back at how Jewish people were persecuted, this is exactly the same stuff that we saw before. So we talk about book burning all the time, right? And one side likes to accuse the other. But let me talk about it. So nobody's actually burning books, right? Why is that? Because we're in the digital age. Nobody's, well, I mean, we got books, but books aren't the big threat anymore. Nowadays, it's social media, it's YouTube, and media, digital sources like that. Book burning has changed its design. So during the time before World War II kicked off, Adolf Hitler was making sure to burn texts that went against his ideology, that went against his plan, right? So for the past how many years now have we been seeing social media and digital media going against conservatives and literally cancel culturing, wiping out voices and opinions that they don't appreciate? In fact, this show recently has become one of them because I've watched, my recommendations have poof, gone, disappeared, right? Once I started linking information to actual vetted sources, my channel has disappeared from YouTube altogether. So the only people that are seeing this channel now are people that have already followed and people that I will be recommending this episode to. It won't be getting normal circulation in the YouTube algorithm like a video game channel or something like that would. And so that's book burning as a main example there. That's the first thing that we seen. So then the next thing, another thing that we saw from the the Nazi Party, the German Socialist Party, was that they painted the Jewish people to be diseased, right? To be dirty. That they were going to create major health crises to the people. Now, have we seen that with Democrats towards Republicans? Yes. Yes, we actually saw that during the COVID pandemic. You saw many conservatives come out and say, "Look, we don't trust the vaccine; it's way too rushed out," and they ended up getting called anti-vaxxers, and all over the news and all kinds of social media talking points. I heard over and over and over and over again about how we were spreading a disease and how we were killing grandma and we were the big problems because we refused to get vaccines. Germans said the Jews were dirty and diseased. Democrats said the Republicans and conservatives were dirty and diseased. You starting to see the parallels here? And so now, just like Adolf Hitler did, we've got Hillary Clinton here who's talking about a formal deprogramming. This is just seed after seed after seed. If you ever wondered how things got that bad back during World War II, this is it right here. This is almost step by step, same gameplay. Now, I'm not saying that they're going to go around rounding people up into train cars, but at the same time, I'm not saying they're not, right? This is just steps towards that direction. One step by step by step. So let's read in a little bit here to what the Federalist says. And I believe I've got also a link so you can hear the words yourself. Uh, so the Federalist says Democrat presidential candidate Hillary Clinton believes half of the country needs to be forcibly re-educated. Forcibly. I want you to see that. Forcibly re-educated. And so what does forcibly mean? Does that mean just talk sternly to? No. That means under the threat of arrest or violence or anything of the sort. Looks like my camera getting a little bit away from me. Let me bring you down a little bit. There we go. All right. Forcibly. Now we saw that again. Like I'm bringing this up again. I'm going to keep beating this dead horse. Forcibly means just like what the Germans did. That's the part they used to put people in train cars. Pay attention to that, right? Let me read this. Needs to be forcibly re-educated to abandon the ideology that led them to vote for former President Donald Trump. What is that ideology? What is it that Trump supporters believe in that Hillary Clinton does not like? Well, we believe in the Bill of Rights. We believe in the Constitution. We believe in reducing taxes and levies against the people to make rich people richer. We believe that all man is created equal. That includes women, obviously, in the terminology. But Hillary believes otherwise. Why would she want to re-educate the vision of freedom? Why would she want to re-educate from daughters being able to protect themselves and fathers being able to protect their families? Why would she want to re-educate against you being able to say what you want to say? Live your life the way you want to live your life and to have success for yourself and your family's future? I don't know. In a sit-down interview with CNN on Thursday, Clinton, who infamously said in 2016 that half of Trump supporters belonged in a basket of deplorables, alleged that MAGA extremists who only take their marching orders from Donald Trump deserve to be brainwashed. Brainwashed. Quote, when do they break with him? Clinton pondered aloud. Because at some point, maybe there needs to be a formal deprogramming of the cult members, but something needs to happen. Don't believe me? Hear it for yourself.
Very strong partisans in both parties in the past, and we had very bitter battles over all kinds of things, gun control and climate change and the economy and taxes. But there wasn't this little tail of extremism wagging the dog of the Republican Party as it is today. Mm-hmm. And sadly, so many of those extremists, those MAGA extremists, take their marching orders from Donald Trump, who has no credibility left by any measure. He's only in it for himself. He's now defending himself in civil actions and criminal actions. And when do they break with him? Because at some point, maybe there needs to be a formal deprogramming of the cult members, but something needs to happen. And how do you very strong.
Needs to be a formal deprogramming of the cult members. We're the cult. Okay, whatever. Now, if Hillary actually did her homework and actually paid attention to the people in the Conservative Party, Republican Party, that are actually talking about all this stuff, you realize that most of us don't actually see eye to eye. We just see in the same direction. We're all voting together because we see what's coming on the horizon. We're voting more in prevention than anything else. Now, once everything gets to a nice, level, peaceful area where we can all talk freely, where we can all have good communication and good education, then you'll start to see the differences in the different conservative and Republican factions. Like myself, I do not call myself a Republican. I am not a Republican because I do not get along with all Republican views. But I don't find any reason to hate those people. In fact, I love them. I love Democrats too, but I just wish they would wake up from their wokeness. Uh, and we need all as Americans to be able to sit down at a table and have a conversation. Hence, why I've created this entire show here is because I'm looking to make a neutral talking platform where we can talk about these issues peacefully, respectfully, with love. But Hillary is not ready to do that. Instead, she would rather call us names like cultists, like deplorables, call for our reprogramming and stuff like that. That's not going to bring peace to anybody. Appreciate the Blaze for that clip, by the way. Uh, with that being said, I could rant on this for the next hour. It does have me a little turned up, but we need to move forward. From the Gateway Pundit, we're talking now about the FBI apparently supposedly targeting Trump supporters. Now, I thought this was very interesting because before this article ever came out, that's something that a lot of Trump supporters have been talking about for a while. They know that the DOJ and different branches have been targeting Trump supporters. If you guys remember, there was that story of the old man who was sitting in his house just talking trash online, and I think it was the FBI that raided his house at 3 in the morning and shot him dead. It would be ignorant to say that none of that is actually happening. And I think that's something that we need to look a little bit deeper into. So this article here from the Gateway Pundit and the Newsweek senior editor William Aiken says, "quote I'm confident this is the stated play. MAGA is being targeted in 2024. FBI created separate extremist category for MAGA." If you go to this link, there's a video about it. You can definitely hear more. Some good reporting here being done by the Gateway Pundit lately. If you don't like them, that's fine. But I do dare you to go to their site, get the information from the Gateway Pundit, and debunk it for me, please. This isn't anything of disrespect or anything of the sort. I really just want you guys to educate me. If they're wrong about any of this stuff, throw it down in the comments below. I will gladly look over it, and I'll gladly even make an episode of it if I see some big revelations in the information. If the Gateway Pundit is reporting us wrong, I definitely want to know. But for now, I mean, I've been looking at the past couple months. Well, actually, I've been following Gateway Pundit for a long time now, but here on the show for the past couple months, I've been following them, and all their information has seemed to come very true. So let's dig into this a little. This is taking place at the same time the Biden regime is targeting President Donald Trump with over 91 indictments on bogus criminal acts in several states by Democrat operatives. And it occurs as the demented president screams about MAGA during his public speeches. On Friday morning, William Arkin, the senior editor at Newsweek, went on the War Room to discuss his explosive report. Steve Bannon's doing a lot of good reporting too. I know a lot of people don't like him. Um, I'm not a big follower of him. Like, I do enjoy the information that I do get from him. But I suggest, if there's somebody that you don't like, go debunk them. Get online and say, yo, I found this historical fact that they got wrong. Just put it out there. And if you see anything in any of these articles that I post down in the description below, please let me know. I'm not here to misinform. I'm not here to disinform or whatever it is. I'm here to show you the information and the contents that are coming across my feed, the information that I'm able to find, so I can compare it with the knowledge that you have, and we can come up with something even better for the people around us. Uh, so going into further into the article from William Arkin, the truth of the matter is that the FBI and most importantly Washington has identified Trump and MAGA as the greatest threat of domestic terrorism in the United States. It's just fact. That's what's happened. So this is a bold statement here. If the FBI is targeting MAGA and Trump supporters as the biggest domestic threat, where do they rank the literal known terrorists who have been coming across our southern border? Like, the people that literally chant death to America somehow are less of a threat to our country than the people that say make America great again. Let that sink in your head. MAGA, make America great again, or the terrorist organizations that say death to America. Which one do you think is more of a threat here to America? Like, you gotta take your bias out and put it away. Because just reading it from top to bottom there, that's ridiculous. The people who love America, the people that are fighting for America, the people that are fighting to return America to its greatness and to continue to grow it further and further so you and I, regardless, can both do better, are more of a threat than the people that say death to all of us. And you know, when these people chant death to America, they're not just saying death to conservatives or Republicans. They're literally saying death to all Americans. And a lot of these cultures that want to see death to America absolutely detest people on the left. Those are the people that will get killed first. Trust me. That's insane that the FBI or any American institution would categorize America first nationalists, basically. I guess you could call conservatives and Republicans nationalists because they have pride in their country. That they would be a higher threat to our country than somebody who chants death to America. I'm going to put this article in below. Starting to get a little bit long read in this whole thing, and I've got a lot to talk about still, so we're going to continue to move forward. But the FBI did put out a response to this, and I wanted to follow up with that. From Newsmax, the FBI denies that they are targeting Trump supporters ahead of the 2024 vote. The FBI on Thursday categorically denied a report that it was secretly targeting supporters of former President Donald Trump ahead of the 2024 elections. Newsmax reported on claims made by Newsweek on Wednesday that the FBI in October 2022 created a new subcategory, uh, agave other, which stands for anti-government, anti authority, violent extremism, describing those who were a threat but do not fit into its anarchist militia or sovereign citizen groups. Government insiders acknowledged to Newsweek that although they are not named specifically, the agave other title applies to political violence associated with Trump supporters. Quote, any allegation that the FBI targets individuals solely for their political beliefs is categorically false, an FBI spokesperson wrote in an email to Newsmax. Quote, the FBI investigates those who commit acts of violence or threaten violence, and we do not take action based on political belief or any First Amendment protected activity. A current FBI official who requested anonymity told Newsweek the Bureau is trying to avoid a repeat of the events on January 6 in 2021, but must also protect the constitutional rights of Americans to speak freely and protest the government. The official said by focusing solely on Trump supporters, the FBI risks provoking the type of anti government activities it's working hard to prevent. Quote, the threat posed by domestic violent extremists is persistent, evolving, and deadly, the FBI said in a statement Wednesday to Newsweek. Quote, the FBI's goal is to detect and stop terrorist attacks, and our focus is on potential criminal violations, violence, and threats of violence. So, with that all being said, I want to go back to that old man that the FBI ran in on and killed in the middle of the night. If you have somebody who's just talking trash, that is First Amendment protected speech. From what I understand, that old man never made a plan or made anything of the sort to go and actually attack the government. He was just online saying things that the FBI didn't like. He was just saying things that the left didn't like. He just said things that might have made people mildly uncomfortable if they were able to read them. But he was only talking to a select group of people that had no interest in actually creating any violent situations. But because of his speech, it was considered a threat, and that gave our government the ability to go in scot free and put him down. That's the problem here. That's the scary part of all of this. So, when they say that they're just looking for extremists, that's a very open ended statement there. Who's defining what an extremist is? Where's the specifics on that and all of this? So so if I said something like, oh, if something happened, I wouldn't be upset, then that might be enough for them to kick in my door and shoot me in the head or something. That's gross. Now let's put the shoe on the other side, Democrats. You know, it, there's a lot of people on the left that like to say extremist things. I mean, geez, some of the stuff that I've seen against Trump while he was in office. But you didn't have the government running up into people's houses because they posted on Facebook that they wanted Trump dead. I mean, geez, what was it? Kathy Griffin, who held a bloody Trump head in a photo? Like, that's a pretty staunch threat right there. There's literally a play in New York that showed Trump being killed. Uh, so, who draws the line here? Justice is supposed to be equal and fair. Uh, you know, One old man in his 70s who requires walking assistance talking trash is worthy of death, but younger people literally threatening death to our politicians and to our government are okay. None of this stuff makes sense at all. And so now I'm starting to understand and starting to agree with a lot of the people that say the FBI just needs to be disbanded, completely taken apart, and the funds need to be reappropriated to places where they need to go, like maybe housing homeless veterans or something. But with that being said, like I said, I'm really crunched for time, so we need to continue to move forward. But keep an eye on that story right there. It's the FBI targeting Trump supporters. It doesn't surprise me at all if that is true. Uh, but keep an eye out it and keep an eye on it and just stay safe, people. Uh, so moving forward, let's talk a little bit about the economy and everything that's going on. I don't know if you follow Redhead Libertarian. Uh, but she posted this video here today from Wall Street Silver. I thought what this girl had to say was kind of interesting. We're going to listen to her real quick, and then I'm going to expand upon that after. Give me 1 second.
At this point, I think we might be living at our in law's house until, we get old and gray. Because the housing market is absolutely ridiculous. It's so sad because back in the day, you were able to just go to school, get a good job, get married, be able to buy a house, start a family, and possibly be able to stay part time at home even with the children to help raise them. Now it's like, no, you get married, where are you living? Maybe we're going to live in a shoebox, maybe we're going to be homeless living on the street, because why is a 1 bedroom, 1 bath like $800,000? Like, I'm just trying to wrap my head around how things are going right now, because it's like, it's pretty hopeless for this generation, for us that are trying to start our lives and get a place. It's like, rent is absolutely insane. You can't save any money to be able to buy a place. They don't want us to own anything, and they literally want to like destroy your dreams of starting a life. It's just so embarrassing.
Embarrassing to say the least. It's more than embarrassing. It's criminal almost. These people, the politicians that are in office right now, the Biden administration is taking all of our value, all of our wealth, and they're sending it to countries overseas. I mean, just as an example, I know a lot of people don't want to hear it, but Ukraine. We've got billions of dollars going over there to the Ukraine, and we got promises from the Biden administration that they're going to get inflation down. They're going to get interest rates down. They're going to get gas prices down. But none of that is happening. But yet, more and more people are getting richer and richer and richer overseas off the U.S. dollar, or what's left of the value of the U.S. dollar. Things have gotten way out of control, and you know, I've harped on this so many times. Like, how do families survive all this? How are families feeding their children right now? I'm having to work so many hours that I've had to take a massive break from the show just to make sure that money's coming in, just to make sure that I have enough money to fix my own car. Things have gotten pretty heavy here in my household, and I'm sure for many, many, many other Americans out there, they're feeling the same way I am. But Kamala Harris, she thinks that everything is great. According to this story here in the Gateway Pundit, once again, Kamala Harris was recently speaking to Democrats in St. Louis when she launched into a bizarre laughing fit. At the time, she was talking about the Biden Harris economic policies, which are obviously terrible. Opinion from the Gateway Pundit. I believe so too. That's my opinion as well. And what do they mean? Well, listen to this little quick 15 little second clip here.
Popular, popular, popular. We just need to let everybody know who brought it to them.
Receipts. Amen.
That's doable.
So what Kamala is talking about here is that Bidenomics, the Biden economy, it's all popular, popular, popular. What with who? Who's this popular with? Who is praising Bidenomics right now? Who is saying, yeah, I like $4 to $7 gas, a gallon of gas prices. I love seeing my grocery bill double, even triple in cost. I love the fact that I can't fix my car because everything has gotten too expensive and too scarce. Who's loving these policies? You got industries that have shut down, businesses that have shut down. I've got multiple shopping centers here in Savannah, Georgia, and this is a very prosperous city, but we got multiple shopping centers that look like ghost towns right now. In fact, by the studio I work at, there's a shopping center that used to have I think it's like 18 or 20 stores in it, and when I was growing up until like a handful of years ago, I used to go into that shopping center all the time and just hit like 3 or 4 stores, getting little things that I needed and just plain out wanted. Now, I think there's just like 3 open stores in there. There's a smoothie place, a drugstore. I can't even think of anything else that's in there, but I know there's a bunch of for lease and for sale signs in the windows. And there's shopping centers all over our city like that. And I'm talking to my friends in the Discord, I'm talking to my friends online and everything else like that, and they're seeing the same problems. So where are these economic policies so popular, popular, popular? You ask me, this whole Biden administration has been a joke. And I don't think that the American populace can take it much longer. And I think what you are going to see is finally we're going to get that red wave that we were expecting before the last major election. A lot of people are starting to wake up. When I go into gas stations, I'm one of those chatty people where I'll just start talking to random people as I'm checking out. Just kind of getting a pulse on everything, just trying to figure out what people are thinking. And I'm hearing very unlikely people now starting to praise Trump, starting to praise Republicans as a whole. Studio I work in's a slightly rougher area. It's not really a bad area or anything like that, but it's a little bit more impoverished. And a lot of people there that I would expect to vote for the left, just based on policy promises, they're all screaming Trump's praises. It's rare that I find somebody that's saying, "Yay, I love Biden," But typically, it's not even them saying "I love Biden" or anything. It's just that they're still in that mindset that all conservatives and all Republicans are racist, and I'll get into a conversation with them a lot of times, and they'll be very surprised to talk to somebody like me who's a staunch conservative, somebody who's so open and willing to talk to them. But that's the reality of it. There's still always going to be people that are going to just blindly vote down ticket because of the promises that were made to them. But yeah, I'm seeing a huge shift. A couple weeks ago we talked about, in the black community, it went from 8 to 20% favorability for Trump. Uh, I'm kind of, in my area, and this is based off of the population here in Savannah, Georgia. I'm willing to bet that we're actually seeing a little bit higher than 20%. Now, I'm not going to say something ridiculous like 50%, but I think we're getting a little bit closer to 30, honestly, somewhere closer to 30, maybe a little over 30% of the population starting to lean that way. And I think as we get closer and closer to election time, we're probably going to see that number increase, especially because none of the promises of the Biden administration has actually come true. We're seeing all these immigration disasters in major cities all over the U.S. Here in Savannah, we're not even a border town, but we're starting to see a lot of the people that have come across the border. They're just starting to flood into this area as well. I think every major city across the United States is seeing that and is dealing with that, and it's going to start having more and more and more economic. It's going to start putting more and more economic pressure on these cities, and the people within are just going to start getting more and more frustrated. But time will tell, and you will see. Moving forward, if you've been paying attention to the news since last night, I don't know if this is your first dose of news for the day. Um, but Israel was attacked by Hamas last night. As far as I know, it was last night. And I've got a lot of videos and stuff to show you. There's nothing, I stayed away from the gore. Just, there's some destruction stuff here, and there's some scenes that are uncomfortable. But I made sure that I wasn't showing like dead bodies and stuff like that today. But there's so much of that on my feed, and it's actually kind of made me feel a little sick looking through my feed this morning. I saw a woman being kidnapped and thrown into a jeep, and the blood that she had all over her, and the things that they were doing to her. Just the overall death. I saw another scene where there was a bunch of cars that were shot up and burned underneath an overpass where there's people dead everywhere. The attacks, the violence, the chaos, it's unbearable. It's insane. Uh, you think what's happening in Ukraine is bad? That's soldier to soldier for the most part. What Hamas has done is gone after civilians, innocent civilians, women and children are being kidnapped. It is awful. It is grotesque. And so I want to start off with what I started seeing all the way up to what was current right before I finished or I started filming this episode. Let's go over to this video real quick. We have Steve Forbes' response to Hamas surprise attack. Check this out, and I'll be right back with you.
The free world is horrified by the massive terroristic invasion of Israel by Hamas this morning. The brutality, the barbaric acts already being committed, the kidnappings underscore the nature of the enemy. There are several profound lessons. For Israel, how in the world did their intelligence agency not see this coming? It's reminiscent of the surprise attack by Egypt and Syria against Israel back in 1973 and the failure of Israeli intelligence in the 2006 Lebanon war. Those questions will be asked and will be answered quickly. In the meantime, the Israelis have to answer some very tough questions immediately. They're not only going to have to beat back Hamas, take back the villages that Hamas has occupied in southern Israel, but also make a decision about whether to reoccupy Gaza. They gave up Gaza, pulled out of Gaza almost 20 years ago as a gesture, giving up land, hopefully to get peace in return. We see where that peace gesture led to. Also, Israel's now going to have to deal with attacks on their northern border and on the West Bank. So this is going to be going on for days, if not weeks. Why did this attack happen? Because Iran was appalled that Israel and Saudi Arabia were about to conclude an agreement, including diplomatic relations. This extraordinary breakthrough was coming about because of joint fears of Iran. So the agreement for the moment will be put aside until this Israeli operation is complete, but certainly the danger that Iran poses in the Middle East is underscored as never before.
Yeah. So this is basically how it's starting, and I think that's a great analysis here from Steve Forbes. I want to keep moving forwards. Like I said, my time's a little crunched. I've already ran over what I normally like to do, and I've got a few more tabs I want to show you. I want to bring to you the response in all of this, and just kind of details to you now the destruction and war that's going on.
We have some more breaking news for you here on that developing story in Israel. 198 Palestinians have been killed in Israeli airstrikes. That's according to health officials in Gaza. 198 Palestinians killed in Israeli airstrikes. Now, we know that Israel has been conducting airstrikes in retaliation after that early morning incursion by Hamas militants across the Gaza border by air and land. Thousands of rockets across from Gaza into Israel, and on the ground, militants crossing in. A little update on that breaking news again. 198 dead and 1,610 people wounded. That's according to Gaza health officials. The Ministry of Health, in fact, has released a statement. They are saying that 198 people have been killed, 1,610 wounded as a result of the occupation's aggression against the Gaza Strip.
All right, so that's the update as of this afternoon, a couple hours ago. Moving forward into it, I want to just show you some of the chaotic videos that have been coming across my feed. Let's see here. You know, as you see, you know that we've got infantry just shooting on civilians. Yeah, sorry, that came in a little hot. But you see, like, they're going after civilians mainly. They're creating devastation and destruction everywhere that they can. It is a horrible scene over there. And so one of the things you gotta think of, you know, where did they get the ability to do this? Where did they get their strength? Now, if you guys remember, just was it about a week ago or so? You know, Biden did that exchange and it sent over $6 billion to these people. And now look what's happening. Look, right here. You got soldiers, or militants, I should say, not soldiers. You have militants or terrorists, as many have been calling them, going up into residential civilian zones and attacking people.
Все горить. Таможня горить.
I mean, look at this chaos and destruction. Remember, last presidential election, they all swore that Trump was going to get us into new wars, that war was going to break out all over the world. And here we are, deep into the Biden administration, and look. Just look.
А?
I mean, you see it for yourself there. And I know what this is going to do. I know this is going to sit there and start replaying something new. But, Donald Trump Jr., he actually brings up a good point, and I wanted to just show this real fast. How is it possible, or quote Donald Trump Jr., how is it possible that I've seen more videos out this war in Israel in a few hours than I have from Ukraine in almost 2 years? That's a great question. And if you guys have some answers to that one, leave them down in the comments below. I want to hear your thoughts on this one. Why are we getting so much of this raw footage that I'm showing you right now from this conflict in the past 24 48 hours than what we've seen coming out of the Ukraine? It's a great question, and I appreciate him for that one. Moving forward, this from Just the News. Former President Donald Trump said Saturday that U.S. under President Joe Biden contributed to funding the attack against Israel by Hamas. And this is what I was just talking about a couple minutes ago. Quote, these Hamas attacks are a disgrace and Israel has every right to defend itself with overwhelming force, Trump said in a press release. Quote, sadly, American taxpayer dollars help fund these attacks, which many reports are saying came from the Biden administration. What was it, $6 billion? This is me. What was it, $6 billion in exchange for terrorists that we gave them? Give them terrorists and $6 billion? Make this stuff make sense. Let's see. We brought so much peace to the Middle East through the Abram Accords, only to see Biden whittle it away at a far more rapid pace than anyone thought possible. Here we go again. Trump is right. I hate to say it, but Trump is right. I'm going to continue to move on. If you want to read more on this whole article, like I said, everything's going to be posted down in the description below. I'm just kind of steamrolling through everything right now as I still got editing to do, and I got to go to work today, because, Bidenomics is working so well. So let me just keep moving forward. And so this is something that Jack Posobiec put up, and when I saw this, I was like, "This is such a great point." Going back to what we were just talking about, it was 1 month ago. Trump predicted the $6 billion that Biden gave Iran would be used for terror attacks across the Middle East and specifically kidnapping. That is exactly what we are seeing in Israel this morning. So let me read off the Donald Trump quote here. Can you believe that crooked Joe Biden is giving $6 billion to the terrorist regime in Iran? That money be used for terrorism all over the Middle East and indeed the world. This incompetent fool is absolutely destroying America. He had the audacity to announce this terrible deal today, September 11th. To pay for the hostages will lead to kidnapping, ransom, and blackmail against Americans across the globe. I freed many dozens of our people from various unfriendly countries and never paid a dime. Biden and the Biden administration, they don't know how to negotiate. They are not business people. They are not leaders. They are followers. I mean, everything that they've done, everything that they've put their hands on has been a disaster. Whether it's the economy, the border, and as you see, foreign relations, all of it is awful. There would not be a war in the Ukraine right now if Trump was in office, and we definitely wouldn't be seeing this aggression in Israel if Trump was in office. Everyone who voted for Biden, everyone who screamed to the top of their lungs, vote blue no matter who, no matter how much you hate to hear this, this is on you. We warned you this stuff would happen. Conservatives, Republicans, and those of us that walked away, we all told you if you give the warmongers and the war hungry people power, you are going to have death and destruction. And look where we're at. And I hate to be that guy to say it, but I told you so. So to finish it off, let me leave you with Benjamin Netanyahu's words. I am horrible with names today. Don't hate me.
מהבוקר מדינת ישראל נמצאת במלחמה. היעד הראשון שלנו הוא קודם כל לתאר את השטח מכוחות האויב שחדרו פנימה ולהשיב את הביטחון והשקט ליישובים שהותקפו. היעד השני במקביל הוא לגבות מחיר עצום מהאויב גם ברצועת עזה. היעד השלישי הוא לבצר זירות אחרות כדי שאיש לא יטעה ויעשה את הטעות להצטרף למלחמה הזאת. אנחנו במלחמה, במלחמה צריך לשמור על קור רוח. אני קורא לכל אזרחי ישראל להתאחד כדי להשיג את היעד העליון שלנו, ניצחון במלחמה.
And there you have it, the official declaration of war. Here we go, deeper in. And of course, you know, us here in the U.S., we're going to, I'm sure, contribute to this. You know, Israelis are allies to us. We're obviously going to be stepping in to help them in one form or another. Don't know if we're going to have any kind of like boots on the ground or anything like that. I doubt. But I'm sure there's going to be some kind of aid or some kind of assistance that we will be giving. This is insane. It really is. And I'm very interested to watch how Biden responds to all this. Regardless of how you feel about any of these conflicts going on in the world, attacking innocent civilians just for their religious beliefs, no. We can't allow stuff like that to happen. What's going on in Ukraine, that's a border dispute. There were things that NATO are at fault at in that. But there was no, it's not like this. You know, Russians aren't going into Ukraine and kidnapping women and children. They're not creating civilian devastation. It's a war between the militaries. This is hands down a terrorist attack. And you know, I stand behind Israel doing whatever they got to do to stop it, to protect their people. This is something that we should be supporting more than what's going on in Ukraine. You know, that's my personal opinion. Let me know how you feel about it. I'm still putting together details on everything about it. In my next episode that I do, I will definitely bring some follow up, bring more information that I find, which I'm sure my timelines are going to be flooded here for like the next week on everything that's going on. I'm very interested to see how Biden responds. Let's see if he's got the same spine to help in this situation, if he's going to make the right moves, or is he going to get in the way of Israel defending itself. I don't know. You know, I don't expect anything really good from the Biden administration. I expect them to muck it up because realistically, they already have. You know, like Trump said, that $6 billion, that's how we got here today. The blood of those civilians, the people who are living in terror right now, that is the Biden administration's fault. The people who voted for the Biden administration, the people who voted for this weakness at the helm of the United States, you share responsibility as well. As brutal as that may sound, as mean as that may sound, voting has consequences. You know, I grew up, and during my time, we had the movie Team America that everyone loves to quote. You know, and everyone was making fun of the US for being the world police. Well, when we're doing it right, things like this don't happen. Things like this are prevented over and over and over again. And I say prevented, not stopped, because still there's terror. You know, we saw what happened at 9/11. However, a lot of these countries need our help. They do need our assistance. And they need for there to be strength. When our allies are known to have us at a very strong position, people think twice before they even attempt making these cowardly attacks. Now that we have Biden at the helm, nobody takes us seriously. Look at the world conferences that Biden has attempted, where people are distancing themselves from him, they're laughing at him, they're not taking him at all seriously. Our whole country is a joke. We have military recruiting videos where it focuses more on feelings than it does on showing our strength. Do you think Russia is afraid of us? Do you think the people of Hamas are afraid of us? Do you think do you think China's afraid of us? Or North Korea? No. In fact, they're laughing at us. And that's where we are today. Under the Biden administration, we are the laughing stock of the world. And because of that, people are dying. I want you to think about that. And if you think I'm wrong, please, respectfully, let me know how I'm wrong. Let me know what I'm missing. Where am I misinformed? That's what this platform's all about. This show is called We Talk Freely. I'm Drew Smith, and I'm here to talk about the things that I see in my feed and to talk about the information that I'm given. If I don't get any kind of counter information, I can only assume that what I am seeing is correct. Let me know in the comments below what you think. Thank you so much for watching. If you've made it here to this point of the episode, you are awesome. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe. Well, I don't have subscriptions up yet, but just give me a follow and make sure this gets out to all your friends. Get it onto your feeds. You know, let's get the conversations going because it's time for change in this country. And with open conversation, we can get there. So I'll have a new episode up hopefully within the week. I'm going to be doing less episodes just because my work schedule is really loaded up. In the next few weeks, I'll get back to putting out more episodes more rapidly. But until then, y'all stay safe.